Hey, what's up? It's Hyphen. As someone who's been a superhero fan for as long as I can remember, I'll sometimes find myself wondering which hero does it the best. This is a tightrope to walk on because the definition of best can change wildly from person to person and what qualities they see in a hero. But what if I combined them? Is that the Vsauce music? Hello? But what if I combine them? Alright, into 4 categories and use them to prove that there is one hero that works as a symbol and a perfect representation of what a hero should be. No, come on, don't. I know that it probably seems like I'm about to talk about Superman because he's a great example, but I'm actually going to talk about the third Flash, Wally West. Alright, so before we go into the 4 categories that I think prove a character is a perfect hero, I just want to say, if a character doesn't score well in this, I'm not saying that they're poorly written or not a good hero, I'm just saying that they're not, like, a perfect representation and a model of what a hero should be. Like, I'm not saying that can't still be your favorite character, and I'm, like, I don't care about that. Wait, why do you keep interrupting me? Just let me go over the 4 categories. Alright, so the 4 that I picked are motivation, morality, power, and perception. Or for short, PP. Alright, let's start with the first one, motivation. Motivation is pretty self-explanatory. This category is just talking about why does the hero do what they do? What happened to them that makes them want to be a hero? Are they forced to do the right thing, or do they do it because they know right from wrong? Something that I've noticed is I feel like a lot of characters are motivated by vengeance. I know that the first one that comes to mind when I say that is definitely Batman, but when you think about it, it's most superheroes. Batman, obviously, Spider-Man, Nightwing, Robin, Martian Manhunter, Black Panther, I mean, even John Mulaney. And while vengeance is a good motivator, it's not really a healthy one. Like, it does a good job at pushing them to do the right thing, but is it healthy? That doesn't really make sense what I'm saying. Let me explain this better. A good example of a healthier reason to want to be a hero would be Superman. He wants to use the powers that he was given to do the right thing, and he feels like since he can help people, he should. Kind of like with great power comes great responsibility, but his uncle didn't have to die to teach him that. Okay, so now that I've explained the category, where does Wally West fit into this? It's actually best if I explain his story from the beginning.
Before there was anything, there was nothing.
Alright, well, not that far back. I just meant like the beginning of his story, like before he got his powers. In my favorite iterations of Wally West, he looked up to the Flash before him, Barry Allen. Also, Barry was dating his aunt. Wally was so inspired by that, not dating his aunt, but being the Flash. Wally was so inspired by that he took it upon himself to figure out how it was that Barry got the powers that he got. Since Wally was a prodigy in science, he perfectly recreated the lab experiment that gave the Flash his powers. Also, I guess the Speed Force hit him with a lightning bolt or whatever. I don't really know how it worked. He would then use the new powers that he gave himself to become the sidekick of the Flash, Kid Flash, and eventually he would grow up and take Barry's place as the Flash. He was motivated by inspiration. He's a hero because he wants to do the right thing. I think that this is a good thing to show to people because it shows that you shouldn't need a reason to be a good person. I feel like people would assume just because he's self-motivated, his reliability on being a hero would be wavering, but it's not. I've never seen Wally make the wrong choice. And if it is the wrong choice, he made it because he thought it was the right one. He essentially ended up brute forcing his way into being one of the most powerful beings in the universe and used those powers for good. It's kind of like he's reverse Thanos or something. Not to mention, he was smart enough to do all of this at the age of 13. When I was 13, I didn't even know how to spell. So when it comes to motivation, it's hard to not see him as a template. Next up is morality, and morality is what that motivation leads the character to do. In my mind, it's hard to imagine a hero, like a true hero, wanting to harm others, regardless of what they've done. And they certainly don't want to kill them. Like, Batman would have a high morality towards not killing. He doesn't necessarily have a high morality against putting people in body casts for the rest of their lives, though.
Or I'll crush every bone in your body. Okay.
So Batman would be in like the upper middle section of morality. Meanwhile, characters like Deadpool and Wolverine would be in the lower section because they don't care about hurting people or killing them. But they wouldn't be all the way at the bottom. That would be for like villains and characters like the Joker, where, you know, he's just a psychopath who doesn't care about killing people. Not that Deadpool's not a psychopath. Wally's one of the most admirable characters in terms of morality because he doesn't kill, and a lot of the villains that he fights regularly, he ends up getting to know them on a personal basis. Like in the Justice League Unlimited episode, Flash and Substance, where the Flash Museum is going to be opened, he talks to the Trickster and stops him from doing what he's gonna do before he even does it. And before anybody says it, yes, the Flash in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited is Wally West. They confirm it in the show.
Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne.
There is no Barry Allen in this universe. Well, actually, there is a Barry Allen in the universe, but he's not on screen, and You know what, it's actually better if you just go watch the Watchtower Data Base video that they made about Barry Allen in this universe. They explain it much better than I ever could. But Wally sees his villains as people, not just animals that need to be beaten to a pulp. Sometimes all these people need is to be treated like people, and that's not something that you're gonna get with every hero. Empathy is a big part of morality for what makes a good superhero. Wally puts himself in the shoes of his villains. Like, obviously he doesn't agree with what they're doing, but he understands how they got to that point. I get there are other heroes that do this, but sadly there aren't a lot. Power isn't necessarily about superpowers, but they can be why a character has power. Power is what somebody has the ability to do. Batman has no superpowers, but he's one of the most powerful characters because what he has access to and what he could do at any time. Batman has something called the
Agamemnon contingency,
where he has plans to take out any member of the Justice League should they turn evil, but that's a video for another day. Being a hero means having the power and ability to do whatever you want and still choosing to do the right thing. So let's talk about what Wally has the power to do. Recently, Wally was given the title of fastest man in the multiverse. That's completely insane. That means not only is there nobody faster than him in his universe, but there's nobody faster than him in every universe. He has so many absurd feats of speed that it's hard to just pick a few. But I did, so let's go over it. One of the fastest moments in comic history is when Wally outran time itself. And I'm not talking about how when basically any fast fictional character runs close to or past the speed of light and they travel back in time. I'm talking way faster than that. So basically there's a comic where a group of aliens challenge Wally to a race thinking that they rigged it and there was no way that they could lose. Because the aliens were going to use an instant teleportation device. And this device would get them from the beginning of the race to the end before a single Planck instance of time had passed. But somehow, some way, the Flash beat them. That's literally impossible and entirely incomprehensible. That is so much faster than the speed of light. Light takes 8 minutes and 19 seconds to get from the sun to Earth, and I think it can wrap around the Earth 4 times in a single second. But since no time passed, the light could not have moved, not even from one atom to another. It's literally impossible to calculate this speed because speed is distance over time, and there was no time. So let's go to one of his insane feats of speed that is measurable. So in this comic, a nuclear bomb detonates in a populated area. Luckily, Wally is fast enough to start moving the instant the bomb goes off. He starts grabbing people out of the city and taking them 35 miles from the initial detonation. And by people, I mean the entire population of the city, which is 500,000. He takes them all out of the city before the nuclear bomb can detonate in less than 0.00001 microseconds. This person calculated that if he could carry 1.5 people each time, then he would travel that 70-mile distance 354,667 times. That puts us at 24,826,690 miles. And since he does this in 0.00001 microseconds, that means he would be traveling, bear with me here, 2 sextillion, 482 quintillion, 669 quadrillion miles per second. That's approximately 13 trillion times the speed of light. So before anybody says, but would he be faster than Sonic? Yes, he's faster than Sonic. Are you paying attention right now? Let me say that nicer. I don't want to be mean. Yes, he's faster than Sonic. And since the comic writers didn't want to have to calculate how fast that was, they're like, yeah, he was going about the speed of light, I guess. I don't know. I say all that to say, with the ability to move at that speed, he can kind of do whatever he wants. Like, imagine if he hit somebody at that speed, he'd probably destroy the universe or something. But even with the ability to do whatever he wants, he still chooses to be himself and to do the right thing. He's never talking about how he could beat everybody in a fight, and he never says how he's better than anybody. He's just always like,
the wall man is here. Now let's get this party started.
if this guy's not a hero, I have no idea what is. Perception. What I'm talking about here is how the general public and others view the hero. Like, do they look up to them? Do they fear them? Do they admire them? I'm sure you could think of one for each of those, but a great example for a positive perception in terms of a hero would, once again, be Superman. He gives people hope and inspires them to be heroes themselves. When people see him, they want to do the right thing. Not out of fear, but out of inspiration. They want to be like him. And for anybody who's new to comics, run, get out while you still have a chance. It's gonna be so expensive. You don't want this. The Flash has a similar effect on people. As I mentioned earlier, there is a Flash museum, and apparently enough people go there for it to, like, stay in business. There are so many people that look up to and want to be the Flash, or in times of crisis they think, what would the Flash do? He inspires hope in regular civilians and honestly in villains too. He makes people want to be better. In my mind, Wally represents everything that a hero should be. He's motivated by hope and creating a better world. He always does what he believes to be the right thing. He has a universe worth of power in the palm of his hands, and he uses it for good. But on top of all that, I think the most important thing is that he has flaws. He's just a person. He makes amazing friendships, creates rivalries, and he works a job that doesn't pay him as much as it should. And even though he makes a lot of them, his jokes don't always land. But on top of all this, most importantly, he doesn't always succeed, because even given the power of a god, he's still human. Wally is not a perfect person, but that's what makes him the perfect hero. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. I put a bunch of time into this video, and I think it's my biggest project yet. Thank you so much for all of the support you've been giving me recently. It means a lot to me, and I've been working to make my videos better and better, so you know, I hope you enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, make sure to let me know, and I will gladly do it. And don't forget to comment who you think a perfect hero is. But besides all that, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Or don't do that. That's fine too. It's not a big deal. But besides all that, see you in the next one. Bye.